Hi, everyone. You're tuning into the 52 Healthy Habits podcast with Donelle and Marilyn, and we are happy to have you. Make sure you join our email list. You can do that in the show notes. We have the link to sign up for that and follow us on our social medias. Enjoy the show. Hi, everyone. I'm Donelle, and this is my mom, Marilyn.
We're here again, Donelle, to see our friends and maybe meet new friends.
So welcome to the Healthy Habits podcast. Our podcast is going to be a topic, which is going to be a variety of things throughout the year. And then each week we're going to do a segment on movement, gardening, supplements, or nutrition, and then just maybe something a little fun, right, Mom?
It will be fun. I think it'll be fun, and it's fun for us to learn new things and share these things with our longtime friends and new friends.
So if you don't know who we are, we have been the Farm Girls for a really long time. We started a business. Well, she started a business in the early 2000s. And it evolved from there to landscaping, helping people learn how to garden, to canning, all sorts of things. So we had a radio show in Dallas for a long time called the Farm Girls, and we tried to do some podcasts, but I moved back to Oklahoma from Texas, and Mom had to move because she had what we call the flood. We always talk about the flood at her house. And then she came into some health issues.
Yeah. When we talk about healthy habits, I think it is important to know that, like, I have had a long health journey, didn't have a clue that there was a problem. That about 4 years ago, we actually went on vacation, a family vacation. I kept saying I didn't feel good, and I had a registered nurse with me and an EMT with me, and they were saying, "Oh, you're fine. It's just the altitude." But it turned out that it wasn't just the altitude, and I had multiple things wrong with me, and it was discouraging to me, Donelle, because we work so hard at being healthy. We grew our own food. We did that organic without pesticides. Because I had a blood disease all my life, we have always been very careful not to be around chemicals because I can't be around chemicals. And that makes everything complicated in a wellness journey, because when I say I can't be around chemicals, that means medicines. Medicines cause me problems. I am now on 8 medicines. 8. I went from 1 to 8. I'm 72. So it was a lifelong change.
Through all this, we've learned, even when she was on the radio show, because you did your 60th birthday on the radio show, you were already in
heart failure
situation, but nobody knew.
Nobody knew. And, my doctors asked me, "Did you go to the doctor?" And I said, yes. And honestly, in the doctor's defense, very often they would do echoes on my heart, quite often, because my dad was sick. And it does turn out that, and later when I found out, as we went through this journey, as we've gone through this health journey, I have a hereditary heart condition from my dad, and only 25% can be affected by exercise, by food, and by the way I live. It's only affected by 25%, but 25% is a lot when you're sick. And I'm just telling Donelle before we started this, is that I get a lot of compliments from the doctors, and it's always puzzling to me. They say, "You work hard at getting well." And I'm like, I sit in the darn recliner. I mean, and Donelle noticed that I was kind of run down today, and it's just, I have moments that I feel real good. I have moments that don't. And it's really kind of a work balance thing for me. Like, literally, like 15 minutes of housework means 30 minutes of sitting.
Yeah. So we're telling you all of this because some days Mom will be with me on the show. Some days she won't. Some days we'll be here at her house. Sometimes we'll be at another location, maybe my studio, maybe my house, another place that we visit often at Texoma. But mom is mom, and she's going to be up when she's up, and she's going to be chill when she's chill. And we have all had to learn how to adjust to that, because my mom has always been high energy, a go-getter. And so it's different. And
we're also telling you this because it doesn't matter where you're at on your heart, on your journey.
Nope.
You know, who would have ever dreamed that I would be in this situation I've been in the last 4 years?
Yeah.
I would tell people, well, I'm not able to do much. And people, I'm a high energy person. I did a lot and I always had lots on my schedule. As we're sitting here at this table, I can see some projects over off to the side that I always have some kind of projects. I've just had to change what my projects are. And so I want to be an encouragement to people that we learn these things like what we're going to talk about today. Whether these little things make a difference, and a lot of little things can make a good difference or a bad difference. And even though it's been a hard journey to go through, I'm here.
Yeah. And we're just real people, just showing you a health journey that is there to maybe have a little bit of knowledge that you didn't know before, taking things that we're teaching you and researching it on your own. So this podcast is about dropping little nuggets. Today's topic is a nugget for you to take and say, that's interesting. I want to look into that more. So we're probably the only thing I would say we're experts on is gardening and Pilates. Gardening Pilates.
Well, let's see. We can add some to that.
But everything else we're doing, we're researching, we're showing you information we find, and here it is. This is for you. Go take it, learn from it, and do what you want. We might be a little bit of have a little bit of knowledge on essential oils too, because we're going to share an essential oil every week with you, because we love essential oils. And like I said, most of the podcast, Mom will be with me. Some of them we just may not be able to.
Well, and the distance makes a difference also. So
yeah,
not just because.
For a round trip for both of us, it's 6 hours to come see each other. So. And then we have Scout with us today. She's really worn out from yesterday's Christmas activities at my mother-in-law.
She's asleep.
But you might hear her holler here in just a minute.
Hey everyone, movement is great for anyone in any stage of life. Every episode we will share tips on movement with Donelle, who owns a Pilates studio in Oklahoma and online.
All right, so one of our pillars of our show is movement, and I'm just going to talk to you today about Pilates and
So when she says movement, she means exercise. She's trying to make it like gentle, but exercise meaning
so I'm a
walking.
big believer in exercise or movement.
Walking or running or...
I mean, running's great if you want to run, but I don't think it's necessary to have a healthy lifestyle. I think it's great if that's your jam. But I do think everybody should be walking. I mean, walk around your house if you can't walk outside. Get a walking pad, something like that. You need to walk. Walking, if you can get in 10,000 steps is what they, whoever they are, say. But you really need to try to work yourself up to 6 miles a day, and that will really help prevent lots of things. But I don't have it in front of me.
6 miles a day.
But like the first 15 minutes, things in your body starts to change. And Mom said earlier, I used to live in Europe. So after dinner, where I lived in Europe, you walked. And you walked for digestion. And we don't do that in America. And your food gets stuck. And you're not digesting well. And then I don't think we have to explain all I think most people are aware that America is very sick.
Well, yes. What can I say? I mean, I just told my story.
We did exercise a lot with the garden. Gardening is exercise. Yeah. Cleaning your house is exercise. And then you get to a point where you're like, Mom, you're limited in that. So do what you can while you can. But anyway, I want to talk to you about Pilates. So I'm a certified Pilates instructor, and I have got my certification in 2008. But I started practicing Pilates in 2005 whenever I lived in Europe. And I really enjoyed the practice. I've been a personal trainer. I've been a member of a gym since I was 18 years old. I went to
Gym rat.
Ladies Fitness of America, if y'all remember that. And I've never not had a gym membership. So I do not, even with the studio, my husband and I have a gym membership when we go to a local gym where we live. But Pilates is an excellent program for you. And I do it online where you can live stream. I have on demand where you can just pull it up on your computer, pop it onto your TV, and you can practice. I have 10-minute to 20-minute sessions, and it works your whole body, but it really works on that core, which is good for balance, and it's good for your posture, and it's to help you walk. You're able to just reconnect your body, your neurons from your brain starts working with your muscular system more, and you're able to do things you didn't think you could do, like turning your head or reaching down and tying your shoe. Just little things that we lose over time because our body is aging. And there's nothing, no matter, you can't Botox your way out of aging. You can't do anything. You're going to age every single moment of every day. You're getting older. There's nothing you can do about it. The thing that you can do is prevent some of the things that are going to happen. So I don't know what my cards are in the future. I don't know if I'm going to end up with the same heart disease that she has. But everything I do right now is helping my 72-year-old person in the future have an easier time navigating through the health. Because the truth is, the older you live, the more health you're going to be on medicine. It's just the extension of life. So not very many people are mom's age without going to the doctor or being on some sort of medicine.
For a lot of people I've met in the doctor's offices, I'm on 8 pills. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are on 16 and more. Mm-hmm. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. And you're not even like taking your pills in the first place.
I set alarms to take them daily. But yes, Donelle's right that I did do it, and I still garden. So I don't think she really understood how much exercise gardening was until she started gardening.
I was really skinny when we gardened. A lot of work. When we garden at the capacity. Now we have good gardens, but I would call them more piddly gardens compared to what we used to do.
Yeah, we used to have
massive,
huge, large gardens.
So on the movement section every week, I'm going to give you a little bit of tips about Pilates or some other discipline that I'm specialized in. And in our weekly newsletter, which we want you to sign up for, you're going to get a little video. It's like this in your email. It's like this big, and it will give you a 10-minute movement to do. And it might be marching. It might be modifiable to your fitness level, but it will be a very good video that you can do, and you get it just by being on our newsletter.
I do want to say something that, because I am the aging side of this, knees are a big issue, and
I am so grateful for my knees every day.
Yeah.
When I left my house this morning to come to hers, I forgot something in the house, and I turned around to get it, and I can feel when you are in exercise like I am, and you teach fitness and you watch the body, and I'm a big, big college football fan. I'm a big basketball Thunder fan, and I watch how the players play when they get injured. But one of the biggest knee injuries that happens is you're leaving your house, you're like, oh, I forgot something, and you turn around and that ACL just goes.
Yes. Do the twist.
Like whenever I turned today, my knees were great. Like they did what they were supposed to do. I could feel my body working the way it's supposed to, and I just stopped and I said, thank you for good knees, because her knee journey has been atrocious.
I've had a rough knee journey, and the thing of it is, if I can make myself do the exercises for the knee, and when I'll slack and then I'll pick it up again, but it can make a huge difference. And I remember when I was in therapy and learning how to do all these knee exercises, I remember asking my therapist, like, well, if we did these exercises before we had the injury, would we be less likely to have the injury? And in fact, yes, but we just don't seem to want to do that. And Donelle works on the core, and most of my exercises are core exercises. I lift my feet, and I do like 20 lifts.
Chair yoga is great. If you can find a chair yoga class in your area, go take it. It is wonderful. Like mom, I would consider mom a client that would have mobility. I don't like to say issues. I don't like that word, but her accessibility to get up and down off the floor easily, it doesn't exist. Like I remember her telling, because the Scout, whenever she comes over, she likes to get underneath the chairs, and we call her the vacuum, the four-legged vacuum, because she'll just find whatever she can. And mom was cleaning under the chairs, and my dad got down there with her, and he said, "Do you have a plan?" And mom said, "For what?" "To get up." I don't want to be like that. I refuse to be like that. And you don't have to be like that either. And I have a lot of clients that are mom's age at the studio where they had no mobility and now they do. I have someone that gets in there and does the weightlifting.
We
with
got
us,
up.
and she's 60 something years old and she's able to go down in a squat and back up, which couldn't do it all. Had to start with chair yoga. So it's never too late to start your movement practice.
And it's never too late to do the things that we're going to talk about.
That's right. So you'll hear us talk about Scout. This is Scout. She's exhausted today. She's a little corgi. She's a mix between Pembroke and Cardigan. And I love corgi folklore and stuff. But she's 7 and she has been on a health journey too. And we have to make all of her food because she has quite the unusual digestive system.
So just to let people know that we watched her journey in changing her food, and she's on a very strict diet, very strict. Otherwise, she'll be at the vet. So, but to watch her change and she must have been so miserable.
So miserable.
And then when she doesn't get treats. She doesn't get snacks in between meals. She only gets what she's supposed to have. And Donelle cooks her food every week.
She's made me cook every week. We mix it up with bison and elk and then chicken because that's bison and elk is expensive.
But watching that journey was such an eye opener to how food can change your being.
And walking her, I walk her every day.
She loves to walk too.
She already went down there and went to sleep. So this is great for us for reporting. All right, we're going to dive into our show topic today. Fats, are they villains or heroes in your story? And you may be surprised at what we're about to share with you, right, Mom?
Well, yeah. When you say villains, I think of a cowboy movie, a big cowboy hat, mean looking guy. So we're going to talk.
And a heroes like Josh, our little firefighter.
Oh, yes, a firefighter, Josh, Superman himself.
He texted me today. He's like, "Well, I just got back from putting out a cooking fire." I was like, "At least it wasn't me." I'd set off the smoke alarm all the time. Well, fats. We have been taught in America that fats are bad, and they've done such a good job at this that we're seeing a big movement right now of weight loss, and that's fine. Do whatever you want to do with your weight loss journey. But the reason why it's such a big deal is because people have such a negative connotation around the word fat. And rightfully so. I get why. I was raised in America too, and the diet culture was very big, but they did something with our fats and our dietary guidelines that actually have put us where we are today. And that's what we're going to talk about. It's pretty crazy, isn't it?
It is pretty crazy.
Yeah. So we're going to go back a little bit in history to talk about where this whole fat craze came from, really low fat craze came from, in 1977, Mom.
77. I know something about that year.
You do.
Donelle. I was pregnant with Donelle in 1977, and I was pregnant for a really long time.
And I want to come out.
This was not going to come out.
This is why I'm always late. I was born late, a whole month late. I earned that right to be late. And I married someone that likes to be early. So in 1977, there was a senator from South Dakota. His name was George McGovern. Do you remember that name?
I remembered the name McGovern. I didn't remember much about him. I was busy having a baby.
Yeah, you were young. Didn't really pay attention to that kind of stuff.
And I don't think I paid as much attention to politicians then as I do now.
And he was a politician from 1963 to 1980. 81, I believe. Yeah, 81. He lost in the presidential primaries against Nixon. So he was really big into preventing food hunger, and he wanted people to have access to food. That was like one of his big services for
political. I mean, when we say Nixon, we're talking Watergate. So there was a lot of problems during that time. We thought they were really bad at that time.
I don't even think he had bad intentions. I think everything he did to, one, put his name on it, and then two, maybe help prevent a problem. So do you know what the number one cause of disease, or the number one disease in the 50s through the 70s was?
Well, we think of the C word, but I don't think that's what was going on then. I think
it was heart disease. Yeah. So he took some research from Ansel Keys, which he took the research that Ansel did and cherry picked a few things out of it, and then worked with some other, maybe at that time, lobbyists with the Heart Association. And they determined that fats were a leading cause of heart disease. And this took a few years. He made a committee at Congress. That's one of his big things. If you go look him up, this was like one of his big things that he did. And from that committee, they put in the U.S. dietary guidelines, which shaped the guidelines the nutrition guidelines that we follow today.
The pyramid thing.
The pyramid. And so he, with this research and this committee, changed the way we looked at fats. And from there came a whole bunch of things. What do you want to say about all that?
I just remember, we didn't just change fats with eggs. I can remember being a farmer. We were on the farm at that time. And we were like, what do you mean get rid of fats? Because your meat, you wanted marbled with some fat. When you went to the butcher, you wanted your beef to be like that. And it was confusing to us. Like they were talking about, and we'll talk about it a little bit, the difference between oleo, margarine, and butter. And I can remember it just, common sense just said, why not the butter? But anyway.
Y'all should have stuck with that common sense.
Sometimes
common sense is better.
Like my dad had heart problems. So so there was this.
I mean, you want to trust the people that are it, but you also, as you'll learn with us throughout the year, you need to not just take everything for granted. You need to go do some research. In this day and age where you have access to all this information, go look it up and make your own informed decision. Because I promise you, if what was going on right here in 1977 to 1981, when they instituted this, if we had the power of the internet between then and then, all those crunchy mamas would have been like, no, we're not doing this.
So, and then there has to be a balance. Like
there needs to be a balance.
I've had people call me or talk to me through my wellness journey, and they said, Marilyn, you of all people know you can't listen to all that. When you get down to it's like, you're going to live or you're going to die. And this is what you're going to do to live. I was beyond those small, like we're talking about, make your small changes, do the small things, start walking every day. Do the things we can do when we can do them, so you don't get to the point like I was, which I had been there for 20. They tell me I had been in heart failure for 20 years. How on earth can you be in heart failure for 20 years and not know it? Okay, we're back to, we need to know, did this McGovern, did he make the right decision or not? And it was a decision that was made for the whole United States.
The whole thing.
So let's see what happens, because she's got the goods.
So the report that he read recommended reducing fat, saturated fat, and cholesterol while increasing carbohydrates, the intake of your carbohydrates, largely from grains. So not knowing anything, knowing the time frame, 1970s to 80s, this report comes out. They put it into place whenever we go from less fats, butter, all of that, but we're going to mostly grain carbohydrates. What does that tell you? What is going to happen to the farming industry right there? in a few years. It's going to drastically change the agriculture business, the big ag business, and it did. So these recommendations were taken based on emerging but incomplete evidence. And in 2015, the British Medical Journal put out that they went back through, read all this stuff, and said, basically, this whole thing that it was set up on is hogwash. Basically, hogwash, whatever.
But from what I remember, we've been working on this for a little while. What I remember is that there were some other studies out there, but he was in a hurry to make this big change in his political career. And they kind of ignored some of the other reports. And so he based a lot of his findings on one report.
Yeah.
That,
one or two, it might have been a handful, but from everything we found, it was mostly based off of two reports. And
so
they
let's
just
find
took
out
the information. So they dropped fat from 40% to 30%. So your intake of fat went from 40% recommended to 30%. And your saturated fat, which is your butter, animal fat, things like that, was supposed to be less than 10% and increase your carbohydrates. So if you know anything about blood sugar, type 2 diabetes, and you're eating fast carbs, aka fast food, you're putting yourself at risk for type 2 diabetes by eating that type of food constantly. And that's what they didn't know. They didn't know. There was no way they knew at this time what was about to transpire.
But it made a lot of changes on what people purchased at the grocery store.
Yeah. So in the 80s, in come the bigger food markets like Kellogg's and General Mills, and they started making these foods that we know today that are just in the grocery store aisles. But at that time, they introduced like fat-free yogurt, which if you don't take anything from our show today, you need to do this. You need to take all of the low-fat, fat-free stuff, never buy it again. Don't do it, because it's not only a leading cause of something that they were trying to prevent, but it also is now coming out that these are things that cause the big C word.
It means you're going to be needing to pay attention at the grocery store, because as funny as this is, we worked on this, and I was making Christmas dinner, which was going to be lasagna. It was lasagna. We made lasagna, but somewhere going to the grocery store and reaching probably for the change in prices, I was probably looking, oh, this one's on sale and this one's not. And I took the mozzarella that was the lower price, fat free. I mean, I didn't notice it until I was literally
but also
putting it
2
together.
years ago, shopping, would you have even considered like low fat was a bad thing? Not really. I mean, we know diet shouldn't be doing diet things or Coke Zero.
Well,
things
I
like
think
that.
I kind of knew, because I think I kind of knew.
Oh, that common sense thing.
Yeah. I think I kind of knew. And honestly, a lot of times fat free just doesn't taste good. So
no, it tastes terrible.
I didn't even mess with it most of the time. But there goes when you're trying to do the right thing, and then you really have to be paying attention at the grocery store.
If you're someone that gets very overwhelmed, like you're trying to do everything right, maybe you've started a health journey of your own and you're doing all these things, but you've been buying fat-free and low-fat. And now we're telling you, don't do that. Don't get overwhelmed and give up. Make one change. Like if you're buying low-fat cottage cheese and you feel like that's really good for you, maybe don't buy the low-fat dressing.
Well, let me tell you, if you're going to choose something fat-free, do they still have the snack wheels?
Yeah, that was very much introduced in the 80s.
Because we had a lot of the snack wheels.
This was funny. What'd you say about the snack wheels?
It tasted good.
And you ate?
Oh, well, I ate more because it was fat-free. I mean, when it first came out, I learned. But when it first came out, I think it kind of gave you the permission to eat more.
Yeah, it does.
Even though...
Or those like little these are only 100 calories. But then you'll eat like all of them. Like... You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
or like whenever I used to drink soda, I'd get those little cans. I'm like, I can drink 3 of those.
She's talking about that, like
like little snacks.
You're going to
Nutter
put snacks
butters
in your children's lunches,
Mhm.
and it says it's a 100-calorie snack. It doesn't mean it's healthy for you. It just means it's a smaller amount. And we tend to kind of eat them more.
So margarine was also introduced during all of this. And I
Mhm.
know Mom has something to say about margarine.
And we have an inside scoop on margarine because Donelle's grandmother went to college and roomed with the girl that her dad helped develop margarine. And she told her and my mother-in-law never to eat margarine because it was just not healthy for you. So the person that developed it knew it wasn't healthy and didn't want his family eating it. So we've always, in fact, I think I probably used margarine earlier, but I started thinking, no, I've got to switch from this and go with butter.
You were raised on a dairy farm.
I was raised on a dairy farm.
So how do you make butter?
Oh, so easy. It's easy to make butter, maybe a little extra trouble, but you just collect the milk. And if you were making
the milk or the cream?
Well, I'm sorry, you said dairy farm. We collected the milk, we separated the cream from the milk, and then we used the cream to make the butter. You can just go to the grocery store and buy cream. And you can put it in a pint jar and just shake it, and you shake until it turns into butter. The milk that comes off that is what is called buttermilk. So, and that's why there were a lot of old recipes with buttermilk, because they made their butter at home, and they use that.
Tell me the ingredients again.
Oh, there is milk. That's all.
Salt?
Well, salt, after you finish it, you don't have to put the salt in it. It's cream. I mean, cream.
I don't know if you can see. You can't see.
No,
this.
you can't see.
So this is the ingredients in margarine. So I want you to count on your fingers.
Okay. Right.
Vegetable oil blend, which is made of palm oil and palm kernel oil. So it's three. Soybean oil, water, buttermilk, salt, potassium sorbate to preserve freshness, soy lecithin, and mono and diglycerides, which are emulsifiers, lactic acid, natural and artificial flavor, vitamin A, palmitate, beta carotene for the color. Also contains milk and soy. So that's 17 ingredients.
17.
And how many was in butter?
Just cream.
If you live in my area, go to Oxford Dairy Farm, buy you some cream from her, make your butter. Google it or YouTube it, and
keep it simple.
If you have fresh herbs in your garden, once you make your butter, you can add some thyme in there. Butter. All of those are super good on sweet potatoes.
So we have
which
cream.
Is a slow carb.
We have cream now, and then we're adding rosemary. We're adding basil.
Made my own butters. But you need to look at the ingredients. 17 versus it's only one. Well, and that's ridiculous.
There's more than one reason. Like, people like their butter creamier, so they've put some of that stuff in it. Because when you make your butter at home, it'll be kind of hard, and people left it out on the counter a lot because it wasn't soft,
But we want you to cook with butter because it's better than the margarine.
But I'm just saying that if you decide, I'm going to start making my own butter, it's going to be a little different than what you get at the store, because that's why some of those ingredients are in there to soften it up and make it spreadable and all of that.
So I want to tell you what happened when all of this was introduced. So we went from the obesity rate in 1980 to it was 15%. By the year 2000, she already knows because we've been going through all this research, but it doubled. It went to 30% in 20 years because of these foods that were introduced. And we're going to talk about why that happened.
And there's something interesting. Before 70, I was not in the overweight category.
You were in the 85%.
I was in that lower rate, and now I'm not.
And today in 2025, it's 4 out of 10 that are in the obesity. So it's at 40.9%. So 2 decades later, it's gone up 10% more than it doubled. And probably because we've gotten wiser in how we're spending our food, our dollars on our food and things like that. But all these people in the 80s to the 2000s, they also had children that learned these things, and these are normal things. And now we're trying to what a lot of people call
schools
deconstruct.
were going by the pyramid. So all the kids that were going to school were being
So basically, this was started to prevent heart disease. And what actually happened was it opened a huge opportunity for metabolic issues. So not only did it not stop heart disease, increased the problem of heart disease, but it also opened the door for type 2 diabetes to be a very common thing within people in America. And at that time in the 80s, the type 2 diabetes was considered a disease of aging. Like, you got to a certain age, probably might have diabetes, type 2. Now it's happening in all age groups.
Donelle and I talk about this a lot. So, Donelle, I know I was turning 60 when we went to that
obesity conference.
We were invited to an obesity conference. I thought, ooh, this is going to be really boring. It wasn't boring at all. And we took our truck farm because we had a truck that we planted a garden in the bed of the truck, and we went places to educate people that if you had, basically it was saying, if you want to, you can grow a garden. If we can grow a garden in the bed of the truck. But the people were allowed to go see our truck on breaks, and they let us go to the conference. And I changed my cooking. I changed my outlook on life from that conference when they explained obesity and all the factors that go into obesity.
Yeah.
And, you know, something as simple as if you've got cracks in your sidewalk, people stop walking on the sidewalk.
It's true.
And they showed all the domino effect that had, including a safe neighborhood, because if people aren't outside their houses, aren't walking around, they're not meeting their neighbors. And when people know you, they're less likely to harm you. And it was so much, but I didn't realize that was one of the beginnings of obesity, not just food. It's a whole
thing. It's
but
a whole healthy habit.
It was very interesting. And I left, and the other thing that was brought on so loud and clear at that conference is that our children were becoming diabetic, and that the children were going to die before the parents because of the health crisis,
the metabolic issues that it was opening up.
It was crazy.
So the heart disease rates did improve over the last, because of so much research that has happened, but that was mostly due to reduced smoking, because that's been a major thing that's happened in the last 30, 40 years. Better emergency care. We would also agree with that, wouldn't we, Mom? The heart's probably one of the most studied organs, and it's like, if you're going to get anything that's not good, heart's probably a good place to start, because there's so much that people just know what they're doing whenever it comes to the heart.
Well,
I mean, it's just, and if you don't like your doctor, fire them. We did that.
You know what? People don't. This is something I probably should really, I don't know, but there was a fireman at my house for a totally different reason, nothing to do with me. And he kept insisting that he take my vitals. He knew something was wrong with me. I had seen the doctor the day before, and that is what, he saved my life. He said, he made me promise I'd go to the doctor that day. And that's what started, like, I went from one doctor to another one, and then into the hospital. And it was just crazy that's what started it, is just somebody observing that there was a problem.
Yeah. And then also new medications have been introduced for your heart, and then also banning trans fat. So we're going to talk about the different types of fat really quick before I talk about the metabolic issues that all of this has opened up. So I have a little cheat sheet here, and I don't want to say it incorrect on the interwebs, so I'm going to use my cheat sheet for this. So Unsaturated fats are protective for the heart, brain, and longevity. And unsaturated fats are like olive oil, your nut oil, your fish oils, your avocado oils.
It's the good ones.
Those are some good fats.
The hero.
Then you have saturated fats that are your butter, your dairy, your meat. And this is the one where they wanted us to decrease. And then they brought in the low-fat foods. And the saturated fats are your good fats. So you want to cook with your butter, cook with the beef tallow, things like that. Then you have trans fat, and those are the ones that are now banned, but those are the ones that were causing those are probably in that original snack wells. I'm assuming because they've been banned. This was a big deal. Do you remember when they were banned? It was a few years ago. I don't actually have the date, but I remember it was a big Food Babe was really on some of that too. But they're very harmful, and they do cause lots of health issues, like some worse ones than heart disease. And so you also have your other good fats, omega-3s, that support detox pathways, and your bad fats are going to make that toxic overload, which is what you don't want, because we have toxins in our environment. You might live in a toxic household. You might have a toxic job. Your toxins are not just what goes in your body. They're what is surrounding you. They're what mentally is around you. So you want to be less, the more you can prevent your toxic overload where you're in control of it, the better your life is going to be. So those are your types of fats. Even as a personal trainer, they've always kind of confused me because, there's a lot of big words, right? So I think it's important to have those. But what really happened was these low-fat foods, they came in and they took all the fiber out of our foods, right? And they replaced it with refined carbohydrates and sugar. And so here we are in the 80s. To make the food taste better, they added this stuff into it, which boosted the companies like Kellogg's and General Mills and things like that. They were making all these types of foods that we were just grabbing. I mean, cake in a box, right? Like all of these things that were just so convenient that were causing a lot more problems than nobody knew. I mean, I don't even think.
Well, we just take so much for granted, and we assume that if our government studied it and they've approved it, that it's good for us.
But this is proof right here that you need to pay attention to what's going on
and listen to your gut.
And
I mean, just like
common sense, your intuition. Yeah.
Like I remember most of us thought this doesn't make sense, but yeah. Hey, they're the experts.
So some of those foods,
gone to school for years.
You eat them and they immediately, that sugar hits your bloodstream and it starts causing insulin issues. And eventually, it's not that you eat these foods and you become insulin resistant. It's time over time, and you're consuming a massive quantity of these types of food, and then you become insulin resistant. And you don't want that. Like you would probably rather have the heart thing than the insulin resistance, because that causes so many other problems. But here's the funny thing.
Problems with your heart too.
Your high blood pressure and your type 2 diabetes tend to go hand in hand because of some of these food things. So you clean up your diet, you'll get rid of the type 2 diabetes, and then you have just one thing that you have to focus on.
Well, I've thought so much about the changes, what we were told to do and what I had learned. And I took nutrition in college.
I've taken nutrition. I've studied for almost a year and a half.
But I took nutrition in college. That was in 1972 that I was taking nutrition in college. And I remember my professor, her name was Dr. Brown, and she would say, if you could eat the entire egg, the shell and all, that would be the most nearly perfect food. So when I say we went back to, our minds would be like, this doesn't make sense. If we knew the egg, we've known all these years, the egg is the most nearly perfect food. And then we start saying no. And the other thing was, and I remember it to this day, if you're going to eat a snack, if you're going to choose a candy bar, which she would say, you don't need to. But if you are going to get a candy bar, get one with nuts. That would be fat, Donelle.
Yeah.
And she would say, the healthiest thing you could do with a candy bar is have nuts in it.
Well, there you go. If you want to
That was
Snickers,
from 1972.
that is why when we do those wrestling tournaments, Crystal, my best friend, will say, I brought you some protein. Brings me the little Hershey Kisses.
Yeah.
This is buddy. Type 2 diabetes, like I said earlier, was considered aging, but when these were introduced, they started seeing type 2 diabetes in earlier ages versus the older population.
Because we were having the insulin spike from the foods that we were eating.
And the committee had no plan for the food manufacturers on how to deal with removing the fat from the food. So when they did remove the fat, it made the food taste bland. Therefore, they put in the sugar, and sugar is also very addicting. So we're in some trouble here in the 80s and 90s, and we don't know it. We're riding a train that has no brakes. And now we have found that there's brakes, and we are trying to reverse so much of this.
And you mentioned cakes that come in a box, cake mixes.
I hate those.
We went to convenience too. We were trying to do everything conveniently as partly what caused us to get in the trap that we got into too. Because if we'd have been making our own cakes, we would have had 100%.
You don't want to get on this soapbox of busy. If we're too busy to cook a good meal at home, our priorities are mixed up.
Dun, 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 dun. Because we fall into this trap. You and I fall into this trap.
Because depending on your lifestyle, you may or may not do breakfast, but research shows, and through all my stuff with exercise, you need breakfast, and then you need a good lunch, and then you need a light dinner. But if you're not doing your proportions of proteins, fats, and carbs correctly throughout the day, you're going to feel bad. And you don't know you feel bad. This has been the story of my life. My mom, having her flare-ups with her autoimmune, doesn't always know she doesn't feel well until she feels good. Oh, wow, I didn't know I was feeling so bad. That's how you just don't know when you're eating these foods, consuming them. You don't realize that these things are making me feel cranky. These things are making me not get enough sleep.
Making
I
good
don't have
decisions.
enough motivation. They're putting brain fog on you.
Yeah.
Get away from them. Everything starts to clear up. It just takes a little bit of discipline and effort, and it's up to you. I mean, do you want to be a healthy 80-year-old, or do you want to be on 16 medications when you're 8? The choice is yours, right?
What did we decide? Oil? Is it villain? Fat? Is it villain or hero?
I think it can be a hero if you're eating the right kind.
Well, I think they're finding out, avocado is supposed to be a good fat. And technically, I have read over and over, and I don't know why I can't get in the habit of it, but it's to eat an avocado every day when you have heart problems, and it's supposed to be good for your brain.
I just pulled a bunch of recipes for my grocery today that has avocado in it. Yeah. Let me read one to you, because this is a good recipe to try. So it is a high protein snack. It's 1 avocado cubed, half a cucumber. If you don't like cucumber, take it out. Half of a quarter of a purple onion, chopped. And then if you like cilantro, add it in there. Then add some lemon, salt and pepper, and then put cottage cheese in there. Not low-fat cottage cheese, cottage cheese. I want cottage cheese. Mix it up, eat it. It's a high protein. There's no carbs in it. Well, there's a little bit, but it's mostly high protein. So it's a way to get your avocados and get your protein in.
I could just eat avocado. I mean,
yeah, they're good.
I like
avocados.
To put salt on them. I'll buy them.
If we lived in an area we could have avocado trees, I'd have at least 4. At least.
Remember when we were in California? We went to this farmer. Somebody told us, we went there for a farming convention, and somebody said, you can't leave town it was in Santa Rosa, California. And they said, you can't leave town without visiting this guy that has this beautiful garden. Anyway, it turned out he was from Texas. Yep. We had things we talked about, but he had made this thing out of a 2-liter bottle. And he said, you don't have to grow avocados. You can just take the ones that hang over your fence. And he could reach up and grab an avocado.
And he had a gourd
Yeah, he had a snake gourd.
Oh, you know what? In our newsletter for this week, I'll put a picture of that. That was one of my most.
That was one reason they wanted us to go to his houses to see his snake gourds that hung from. He had planted them and they grew up to the top of the tree, and then these snake gourds. Really,
they were awesome.
Anyway,
so the last thing I want to say about this was how it shaped the agriculture community leading up to this. Before the grains became a big thing for refined carbs, we didn't have so much monoculture in our farming. And
monoculture, what does that mean? One crop, and that's not good for the soil.
Mm-mm. So one reason why when you're eating foods today and we say it doesn't have the same nutrition content as it did 40, 50 years ago is because of the soil. So growing your own food, what you can, and putting your food up in the winter for the winter is going to be your best option for the best nutrition for yourself. And you're going to have to amend that soil. But the agribusiness blew up and it separated the smaller farmers from the big ag and really put a division there. I don't mean a division like we don't like each other. I'm talking like a huge gap between the two types of farming. And we're starting to see regenerative farming coming back. And that's what's going to save America versus all this refined. I mean, this put huge, big money in agriculture, which caused, I'm not going to get political, but it turned into lobbying and just kind of run them up. And we've been involved in this kind of stuff for a very long time. So
if anyone out there is in farming, there are some grants available right now. I don't understand them. I haven't looked at them, but they've just been made available. To people that are interested in that sort of thing.
We're not doing that. We'll teach you how to garden in your backyard, but we're not doing
No, I'm just saying it's available.
Yeah. There's a really great guy in McKinney. His name's The Local Yokel, and he's really big at telling you about a lot of this stuff too. He's become very big on social media. But he's if you're in the Texas area, go buy your meat from him. He's great. When I find good resources in Oklahoma like him, I'll share those too. So, okay. All right. So that is our fats, your villain or your hero. In America history, it's been the villain made out to be the hero as a low fat. Now we need to flip the script and we need to make it
didn't
the hero. The villain is the low fat. Yeah, didn't work.
It's just like when you did something and you thought you were doing the right thing, but you realized this isn't working and you have to start over.
Yeah.
And so
stick with us because we're going to come back with you with a supplement, gardening, and oil tip, and that will be the rest of our show. We'll be back in just a few moments.
Did you know that Marilyn and Donelle have educated on essential oils since 2015? Each week, we will highlight an oil. In our newsletter that comes out on Fridays, we will have a DIY with our oil we spotlight. Here's today's oil.
Okay, welcome back. So we're going to talk to you about gardening. When we end our show, we're going to talk about gardening, something about gardening, and we're going to talk to you about supplements and or oils. And before we do that, I want to share with you how to follow us. So we have our own social medias. On TikTok, I'm Donelle Gregston. I think I wish I change it up. Mom is Gardening Grandma. Is that what you are? Let me turn my TikTok down.
I don't think that's my TikTok. I think that's TikTok Shop.
No, I think that's...
No.
Anyway, I'll put it in the show notes. But mine is Donelle Gregston at Healthy Habits Podcast. And I know I tag Mom a lot and it's like Gardening Grandma or something like that. And then on Instagram and Facebook, it's just our names, Donelle Gregston, Marilyn Simmons. She doesn't do Instagram that much. I do Instagram and Facebook quite a bit. And then for our show, we're going to have a newsletter and you sign up. There's a form in our show notes where you can sign up for the newsletter. And on Fridays, we send out the newsletter, which is going to have it'll have a recap of this. It'll have the video of our podcast, a recap of what we talked about. So some of these facts, so you can go and research these. Whatever gardening we're talking about, we'll put information in about that. The oil with links to order the oil. And then you ready for this, Mom? She doesn't know this yet. A do-it-yourself project.
Oh.
So, what is a do-it-yourself project we can do with our breathe oil?
Oh, with our breathe oil. We could make bath bombs.
Bath bombs. That's what I figured she'd say, shower steamers or bath bombs. So, we'll have a little video and information on how to do that.
Or
so let's talk about...
It's easier to do just bath salts.
Bath salts are great.
Easy.
I give those out for birthday gifts. So this is Breathe, which is probably one of the top selling oils in doTERRA. I don't know if you can see that. I don't have my glasses on, but it's Breathe, and it comes in a variety of ways to take.
It comes in these, they call them drops, 3 drops like this.
I love these. I keep these at the studio and just let anyone take them. Teachers usually take them. Your throat gets kind of yucky.
And then it comes in a 15 milliliter.
15 milliliter. And then there's also a vapor stick, kind of like a...
Oh, yes.
Like, I don't know if we can say that, but it's like a little, looks like a deodorant stick, and you use it under your nose or whatever. Breathe is awesome. You can put like this, you just carry around like I just did. In our socials this week, I show you how I use this on my walk with Scouts. And then that right there, Breathe, is great. It has eucalyptus in it, and cardamom opens up your airways. And then you'll have a little do-it-yourself project in your email for this week. We don't have a website or anything like that set up, mostly just through our socials.
You can put a couple of drops in your hands and just rub your hands together and when you're kneading. Whether you're,
it smells so good.
Maybe it's seasonal discomforts, or maybe you've got the bug and you need to breathe a little better. Or like I like to use it just before I go to sleep. Dawn and I keep Breathe in our cars. And it was funny. I had to look around to find one. We found the roller real quick, but we keep Breathe in both cars. I usually keep a Breathe right beside my bed. That's where I went, and it wasn't there.
And moving from Texas to Oklahoma was really hard on me. The amount of allergies that I had was insane. And we started going to the McKinney Farmers Market a year ago. I believe it was a year ago. And one of the bee farmers that we've known forever had his booth there, and I picked up his bee pollen. And I started eating bee pollen, a teaspoon of it every single day. And I have had about a year and a half of no allergies. None. It's been amazing. So this used to be by my bed everywhere. Now I have it, but it's not one, like if it's not in my car, I don't freak out because I don't need it as much as I did. That bee pollen really, really did help. I love holistic things like that. All right, gardening. So we're big time gardeners. We could talk hours on this, but we're going to limit ourselves. So we've picked one topic to talk to you about today. It's a little late to plant it, but we want to talk to you about it anyway. And that is our beloved herb / root, garlic.
And she's talking about it like she loves it, and for years she had some allergy to it. And
I am sensitive to it.
But
we've learned it's the processed garlic that
really it makes a difference if she uses the powder, or if she uses the real.
If
garlic.
I use the real garlic, I'm usually okay.
But Donelle, I really got, even though I knew how to grow garlic and that sort of thing. But your niece, my granddaughter, loves to cook, and we went through so much garlic, and I told her, and I wanted her to know that you didn't have to just go to the store and buy one kind of garlic. I wanted her to know that there's lots of varieties of garlic, and there's no way we can name all of the different things.
Music is one that always
Music is one. Red Creole.
We'll put a list in our email.
Anyway, I probably have planted 5 varieties. I've planted over 200 cloves of garlic, and they're all up about this tall. And this year I planted what's called the corms, which is the seed that comes off the top of the scapes. And I read up on how to do that. But you plant garlic in October, November.
And in Oklahoma, you can plant it up to December 1st, depending on the weather.
Okay, so you plant it, and then you don't harvest it till May, June. You just watch it and know. And so it's a lazy crop. If you don't want to do anything else, you can do that. And you could line your flower bed with it, as long as you don't put chemicals in your bed. But it's easy to grow. And last year I harvested 100 100.
And we still have some. I would get
not
up
a
and go
lot.
get it. It's a little basket. Rena's was cooking with it on Christmas.
Right. And so we have really gone through the garlic, but we actually tried to plant enough that Donelle and I could sell some this year.
Yep. But Donelle didn't
hoping
get
to.
hers planted.
Donelle, you're going to
But how much did you plant?
I planted the 200 plants.
Yeah. So we have about 100 more that we can plant next fall. We're ahead of the game, Mom.
Woohoo!
So we'll put some information of garlic in there. I'll tell you a really cool recipe. The bee pollen's not the only thing I do every day. I'm around a lot of people, and a lot of people in the area I live in tend to get sick. Just seems to be a thing. We're a big wrestling community. I've noticed wrestling communities like to spread the flu germs.
The joy.
The joy. The joy. But I make a drink, and it's hot water, and I take a clove of garlic and I crush it up. I don't buy the mint stuff at the store. I get fresh garlic and I chop it up. I put the same amount of ginger and then about a teaspoon of honey, and I try to get local honey, and then a whole lemon, and I squeeze it and I drink it. I drink it when someone's been at the studio and I worked with them and they call and they say I have the flu, whatever. I get this in my body immediately, and you can drink it multiple times a day. And that right there has been a game changer for viruses for me, and has really built my immunity. Garlic is a natural antiviral.
Yep.
And it's awesome. And like she said, a lot of people know that I have to say I'm allergic to garlic when we go out to eat, but a lot of times it's because they use the processed garlic, and it makes me feel like I have
you're
the
definitely
flu.
better than you were.
I'm much better than I was. Cleaning up my digestive gut issue helped with that too.
Yeah.
So that's our show today. We appreciate you being on, listening to us. Hopefully you'll continue to follow us. And like we said at the beginning, some days we'll have really good mom days. Today's been a great day. I don't think you've seen her at her best. She's not feeling her best today, but she is a lot of knowledge, and I want her on this podcast and spreading what she knows to the good world.
She wants my ADD moments.
I do want those ADD moments. All right, y'all have a great day, and we'll see you next week.